Hi there, I'm Vincent Bos, and I'm a life coach, relationship coach, and breakup coach. You can change the language of this podcast in the YouTube video settings. And in today's podcast, we're going to be discussing don't do this if you want them back. I provide audio coaching for breakup recovery, trying to get an ex back, attracting someone new, and life coaching. Visit www.dateme.tips for more details. Please check your spam and junk folders if you are expecting an email from me. Subscribe to my weekly support emails. The link is in the description. So now let's get back into today's podcast. And today we are discussing don't do this if you want them back. So if you have been dumped and want to try to get your ex back, there are certain things you must avoid doing. In today's podcast, I'm discussing 3 things that you need to stop doing if you want them back. So let's get straight into this, and point number 1 is don't write to your ex something they already know. Now let me know in the comments if you have written your ex a letter. Let me know in the comments and let's see what the community thinks. And although we've just mentioned letters, point number 1 is actually regarding any type of communication, but we will highlight letters first of all, because if you have been dumped, one of the things you might consider is writing your ex a physical letter, an old school letter, snail mail, if you will. Now, the reason you might be thinking of this might be because, unfortunately, you've been blocked. Maybe this is, in essence, the only way you feel you can communicate with your ex. Alternatively, you might feel that it is more personal for you to be using pen and paper, and therefore have more power. What I would say, though, is that if you do write your ex a letter, please make sure you are conveying information that they don't know. For instance, let's just say they believe something about you which is inaccurate. It's not true. Or maybe it was once true, but you now want to make changes and you have been unable to communicate this with your ex. If you do have things to say to your ex that they are unaware of and you genuinely believe could be helpful in reconnecting your relationship, then maybe, perhaps, there is a caveat to where you could be communicating new things with your ex. However, I do hesitate to say this because as soon as I do, everybody gives themselves the excuse to do just that. Whereas the reality is 95% of you do not fall into that category. Most of you listening will not have something of absolute importance and significance that you need to tell your ex that they have no idea about. For those few of you that do, as I said, maybe you could actually fall into the bracket where you do actually communicate with your ex in this way, because it is important, of course, to make sure that they are fully aware of a situation, and if they have the wrong impression, then that is not going to help you. But most of you won't be in this category. Most of you will be in a situation where your ex knows exactly what you are considering telling them. For instance, if you want to be telling them about how much you love them, how much you miss them, how much you will try and make this work in the future. Now, most of you will be in a position where you have already said that to your ex, or you know full well that they understand that is your perspective. Unfortunately, it has not altered their mind at this time, and hence, if you repeat yourself, whether this is in a handwritten letter or whether it is any other style of communication, because like I said, point number 1 isn't just about writing a letter. This could be a text, it could be an email, it could be any style of communication. If you are reaching out to your dumper post-breakup, trying to tell them something that they already know, the likelihood is all this is going to do is frustrate and annoy your ex. Now, of course, I can't say for certain how your dumper will react to you reaching out, but by and large, generally speaking, if you have been dumped, you should never contact your ex again unless they contact you first. Now, this doesn't count important, necessary contact. I like to use the example of if you have left your work laptop at your ex's house, you are going to have to contact them and ask for when you can pick that up, because it is necessary for you to do your job. That is something which is necessary. So if you have something which falls into that category, yes, of course, you should be reaching out. Similarly, as we've just said, you might fall into a very tiny bracket of people who have information that you need to pass on to your ex that they're unaware of, which can make a huge difference. Maybe you have recently found out that your ex believed you cheated on them. That's why they ended the relationship in mysterious circumstances without even actually giving you a reason. And you've only just realised and found out that they dumped you due to them believing you cheated on them. And yet, that is a lie. It didn't happen, and you need to get that information across. That would be a good example of where you should be reaching out. But most of you are not in that category. Most of you would have had your opportunity at the time of a breakup to say your piece. And this is very important to get across as well. When you are going through the breakup itself, of course, you can stand your ground and say your piece. Whether this is in person, which I would like to think this is how, unfortunately, the relationship ended, at least in a face-to-face situation, but unfortunately, there are lots of people who are dumped over the phone, either speaking or sadly via text. Those people feel that they've had no real opportunity to say their piece in the way they wish to, but hopefully you still had a chance to get across your feelings, your thoughts, the fact you don't want the relationship to end. And if you have, that is absolutely fine during the breakup. What we're talking about here is post-breakup. After the breakup dust has settled, that is when most of you shouldn't be reaching out to your ex unless they reach out to you first. And if you decide to write them this long love letter, trying to get them back, and it's only including things that they already know. They know that you love them. They know that you don't want this to end. They know that you believe you two should be together. If you're just replicating and saying things time and time again, just this time you've actually used a pen and piece of paper, unfortunately, it is not likely to work. And most of the time, you probably won't even hear anything back at all, because unfortunately, you'd have actually annoyed them by repeating yourself time and time again and not listening to the fact that they don't agree with you. So now let's get into point number 2 and the second point of today's podcast. Please give this video a like and let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you like my content, subscribe to the channel to keep updated. And point number 2 is don't wallow in self-pity. Now, if you have been dumped, you are going through a very difficult time. I'm not trying to minimize what you are experiencing. I appreciate and understand this is, for a lot of people, the most difficult period of their life. And this is a very serious situation. And if you ever feel that you need professional help, you should absolutely get it. If you're feeling depressed, you should go and see a local doctor. You are not alone, and you will get through this. But with that being said, it is also important to make sure that you are trying to live your best life post-breakup. Because for those people who decide to spend every waking moment at home, they don't want to get out into the world, they don't want to see their friends, they don't want to have fun. They almost deliberately choose to be sad rather than have a moment of enjoyment, denying themselves the possibility of smiling again because they feel that they almost don't want to, okay? If your friends are contacting you and asking you to go out and spend some time with them, if you are saying no and you're just at home with your head in your hands, this is not going to help you, okay? If you want to try to get your ex back, wallowing in self-pity is the exact opposite of what you should be doing. You need to be living your life to the full, improving yourself every day, and becoming a version 2.0 of yourself. You need to be an attractive option for your ex, not someone who is wallowing in this negativity, the sadness, the upset. yes, I appreciate the pain you are going through, but if your ex was to find out how you are right now, do you actually believe they will be reattracted? They would feel pity towards you. They would feel sadness, but they're not going to feel romantic attraction. That is what we need them to feel, and they won't. So although this might feel the hardest challenge of them all, you need to try and dust yourself down and take one step at a time, even if it is something somewhat small in the scheme of things. Going for a very short walk could be the beginning of you living your life again and improving every single day. The fact that you have got outside can be very helpful for most people, rather than staying in bed all day, rather than maybe going to work, not being particularly good at your job because you can't think of it, coming straight home and just spending all of your free time in your bedroom. Okay, that is not going to help you. So, although it might sound harsh potentially, me saying don't wallow in self-pity, I'm not being disrespectful. I appreciate the pain. I felt it myself, and over the years, I've spoke to hundreds of people, so I know what you're likely going through. But what I also know is the best way out of it. And the increased chance of getting your ex back doesn't come from feeling sorry for yourself. The increased chance of getting your ex back comes from growing as a person and becoming a better person than they remembered. It means you live in your life in a way where other people see you as an attractive option, and therefore your ex will start to do so again because of social proofing. This doesn't happen when you are wallowing in self-pity. So although I appreciate the grind you're going through, although I know how important and serious it can be for you to contact a local doctor if necessary, what I would say is for those of you who just feel low energy, low desire, can't be bothered, well, you shouldn't be surprised if your ex doesn't come back to you, and you also shouldn't be surprised if nobody else wants to date you either. Now, if you would like advice and support about how to try and increase the chance of one day getting your ex back, then you may want to consider my audio coaching service, where me and you can speak one-on-one about your unique specific situation. This is the best and diamond level of support that I can provide. Go to my website www.dateme.tips for more information about how I can become your coach and your teammate via my audio coaching service. Talking about your feelings can also improve your mental health. It helps prevent the buildup of negative emotions, which can lead to stress, anxiety, depression, and even physical health issues. Speak your heart to free your mind. So now let's get into point number 3 and the final point of today's podcast. If you feel that this podcast has helped you, then please consider buying me a coffee. The link to do so is in the description. And point number 3 is don't count the days of no contact. So if you have implemented my version of a no contact rule, first of all, well done to you. It's certainly not easy, it's certainly a challenge, but it is your best path forward, not only in increasing the chance of getting your ex back, but also, and more importantly, getting you back and becoming that best version of yourself that we've already spoke about earlier through today's podcast. However, something that I also need to reiterate is don't count the days of no contact. Now, in those early days and weeks, it's kind of easy to remember exactly how many days of no contact you've been going through. But as the months tick by, and unfortunately, listen, most of you implementing my version of a no contact rule are going to be ticking into the months and beyond before you potentially hear from your ex again, or potentially find someone even better. This is not a quick fix, and there is no guarantees you'll hear from your ex again. But if you live your life the right way and follow my advice, if you don't get your ex back, eventually you will likely find someone even better. And as you go through those months, what you will start to find is that the actual amount of days of no contact you have been through will become a little more vague in your mind. And that is a good thing. Now, sadly, some people, as soon as they start to struggle with how many days it's actually been, they try to work it out. They might even start to make notes of it so they don't make that mistake again. But it's not a mistake. It is not a mistake to forget how many days of no contact it has been. And the reason is for a few sub-points. The first of which is if you know exactly how many days of no contact it has been, you will start to create milestones. And those milestones are not going to help you. Most of the time, they're going to make you feel sad. If, for instance, you know precisely when you've done and completed 150 days of no contact, you're thinking to yourself, gosh, that is how many days it has been since I last contacted my ex, and potentially from when you previously last heard from your ex. This situation can be very painful. And if you say to yourself on the 100th, 150th, 200th, whatever it may be, if you know these specific day counts and you have these almost milestones, it is highlighting how long it has been since you spoke to your ex previously. And that can really set you back. Maybe you were doing quite well day to day, but as soon as you hit that 200-day anniversary, this is going to set you back and bring you right back down to that point of where you felt that agonizing anxiety. We don't want that. So removing the possibility of milestones is a good thing. Secondly, if you are actively counting the days since you implemented no contact, it can really start to affect the likelihood of you finding someone better than your ex. I know you might be thinking, well, I don't even want anybody else other than my ex. But ironically enough, dating new people doesn't just increase the chance of finding someone better, but it actually increases the chance of your ex-pedumper one day coming back to you due to social proofing. So getting in a position where you feel able to date, well, that's a good thing. It's a good thing to feel that way. If, however, you are counting no contact days, you're almost kind of writing them on your wall, or you know what I mean, really keeping a track of it, do you really genuinely believe you're in the mindset to date someone else? Maybe you speak with someone online dating, you arrange the day you're going to meet, and just before you go and meet that person, you're kind of just ticking off another day in your diary of how many days of no contact it's been. All this means is that you are flooded with thoughts of your ex just before you're meeting someone else. And even if it's not connected to when you're about to meet someone else, you know what I'm trying to get across here. You're thinking of your ex every single day because you are deliberately reminding yourself of how many days of no contact it has been. It's not healthy. It's not going to help you. It's not going to help you get your ex back. It's not going to help you find someone even better. It is not protecting your mental health. There is no benefit of knowing how many days of no contact you have achieved. And maybe you might be thinking, well, I wanted to know so I can give myself a pat on the back. And although that is a very positive spin on the situation, it is still tying you into a position of where you are thinking of your ex. Because every moment that you are trying to consider how many days it has been since you last spoke or heard or wrote or typed to your ex, every time you do that, all you are doing is bringing your ex back into your mind. And we don't want to do this. It's not going to help you get your ex back. It's not going to increase the chance of reconnecting because you're thinking of them. Instead, it's actually going to be doing the opposite. Now, for those of you who still think, no, I want to keep progress of my no contact, this is something I just can't quit, well, you might be interested to know that I have a no contact tracker app, which is specifically aimed at those people who can't resist the urge. It's for free, it's easily accessible, you can find it in the description, just click the link and you will go straight to it. I believe it is the safest way to track your no contact progress for the main reason that every time you move on a day, you are given suggestions of things you can do to not only keep yourself busy, but to keep you moving forward with positivity.